What is up? It is Monday, still fun day because we still got some week 6 action left in the NFL football slate. Lauren Javara, Jared Smith here. This is Let's Bet It, presented by Superbook Sports. Jared, lot of crazy results that we saw yesterday. I know we're going to break them all down, but just your overall thoughts on the week 6 Sunday football slate.
Well, I'm getting my circulation to my chest cut off because I'm wearing this stupid Michigan shirt for your stupid Wolverines because they're stupid and I hate them. But every year they seem to, you're very fortunate. We're doing this. The last 2 years that have been the 2 years that Michigan's maybe had their best two teams in like the last 100 years.
Sorry.
Last year went to the playoff, beat Ohio State, and of course this year they're 6-0 or 7-0. I think 7-0 now, right? 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
Are they 7-0? I bet an over at 9 for their win total, so that's looking pretty good.
Really
back
good.
to NFL. Yeah, looking really good. Back to NFL. I tweeted it out this morning. It was a very random Sunday. The first half of the early window games were just like dead zone. And then things heated up in the second half. But I did a tweet of the top 5 most efficient quarterbacks of the week. And the 5 names are it's like the most random list ever. Trubisky, Mariota, Lawrence, Zappe, Jones. Those are your 5 most efficient quarterbacks in week 6. Make sense of that for me, please. I can't.
No, it is. Yeah, no, it's really crazy. A lot of big teams losing and a lot of teams that no one expected to be good at the beginning of the season winning. What is happening in the Big Apple right now? I know we're going to get into that in a second. And that Chiefs-Bills game did not disappoint. It was a little boring in the first half. Second half, though, especially that fourth quarter, was chef's kiss. We'll get into that too. Lots to get into today. We also have a Monday Night Football preview with Prop Holliday, college football early birds, and national championship odds. So we'll get into that after 7 weeks of college football have passed. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's bet it. We'll start it out with the winners and losers of the NFL Week 6 slate. Winner. I know we are on the same winner. We're on the same loser. I don't necessarily have an overreaction. You do. But the winner for both of us is the Bills, and in particular, Josh Allen. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I have some other teams that made the list, and I can do an honorary mention because I don't have much to say here besides the monkey that was securely here, situated on the bats, has been removed. And Kansas City, I would say, is not as good of a team metrically, at least yet, as they were last year, especially on offense. They're a little bit less efficient, a little bit less explosive. Same can be said on defense. But just going into Arrowhead, where the demons were stirring, exercise the demons, and Josh Allen to go in there, game-winning drive, and then, oh, by the way, guess who it was? And this, to me, we talked about this in week 1 after they beat the Rams. The difference with the Bills team this year, they have a closer. They have a Mariano Rivera. His name is Von Miller. He's the one that pressured Mahomes on the last play that forced the interception. They didn't have a guy like that last year when they had a lead late in the game at Arrowhead to close the deal. Now they do. And he was fantastic in the fourth quarter yesterday.
Also, what other 250-pound player can leap over another human being the way that Josh Allen did in the final couple minutes of that fourth quarter? And then the final touchdown throw. I mean, that has to feel good for
Bullet.
him. That has to feel good for the Bills after last year's AFC divisional round. The Bills are literally meant to win the Super Bowl this year. They're the team that's destined to make it to the Super Bowl. That's all I got to say. Another honorable mention will go to my New York Giants, who are now 5-1 on the season. Lamar Jackson made a huge mistake in his own territory in that fourth quarter, but Brian Daboll has to be the coach of the year through 6 weeks. He's setting Daniel Jones up for success. He is coaching his team to perfection at this point. Kayvon Thibodeau, huge fan. He's been exceeding expectations. I might buy a Thibodeau jersey at this point. Does he fall into your honorable mentions when it comes to winners of week 6?
So, again, I don't want to take anything away from the Giants, but in the fourth quarter of that game, up 10, Ravens just, again, find a net. So to me, it's more Ravens loser than Giants, the way that I saw that game play out. Lamar Jackson's interception on the final real drive that they had, where the snap goes over his head, he picks it up, he runs around, and instead of just throwing it away, I think it was second down, he throws it right into the middle of the teeth of the defense, and it's intercepted, and then the Giants are in the end zone 4 or 5 plays later, and that's it, ball game. Like, it's just, those are losing football plays. And it continues to happen to the Baltimore Ravens in the second half. I don't know what the explanation is other than losing football plays. Like, that's just a loser play. You need to know in that spot, the one thing you can't do is throw late over the middle after the snap goes over your head. It needs to be your fourth quarter mentality. Don't make the play that loses us the game. And it just keeps happening to the Ravens. I have no explanation for it other than
I do. I have an explanation. It's Lamar Jackson in his fourth quarter. Listen to these fourth quarter stats. I was watching Get Up this morning on ESPN. They put these stats out there. Lamar Jackson this season through 6 weeks, fourth quarter stats, 1 passing touchdown, 4 interceptions, and a 28 QBR in the fourth quarter. That is why they are losing games. Good elite quarterbacks
I agree.
Don't blow the end of games like that 3 times. Good teams don't blow the end of games like that 3 times. The Giants are continuing to find ways to win. The Ravens are continuing to find ways to lose. And another team that I think is a loser from this week is the Green Bay Packers. The Jets' defensive pass rush was like swarming Aaron Rodgers like bees on honey. The Packers' O-line is supposed to be the foundational piece of their team. You can't be when you're getting whooped up front like that. And also, how about Breece Hall? Your boy, Breece Hall for the Jets. But the Packers offense, they're only getting going if it's like a perfect throw by Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are playing physical. They're playing tough in every phase of the game. I love what they're doing right now. And I don't know, it goes on to show my rant that I went on last week about the Packers. They're frauds. They're frauds at this point. And then Aaron Rodgers comes after the game and he said, well, we need to simplify our game. Their game isn't creative at this point. What else do you got to simplify? You know what I mean? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think with the Packers, there is an issue with Aaron Rodgers' health. He was fumbling on routine handoffs yesterday. His thumb. One for the thumb, right? That's what the Steelers fans used to say before they won that 5th Super Bowl. I think there's something wrong with him physically. Mentally, I think we've noticed it all year that there's been something off. But mentally, there was something off with him last year, and he won the MVP. This year, it feels like there is a physical ailment that is preventing him from throwing the football accurately and doing doing the routine things. There was literally a moment yesterday where he was trying to hand off the ball to, I think it was either Dillon or Jones. I forget which running back. And the ball just fell out of his hand on the ground, and the Jets recovered. I was just like, whoa, that's a red flag. I think physically he's not 100%. And when it's your thumb, which is like your main operating digit on your hand when you're a quarterback, that's a problem. That is a massive, massive problem. Defensively, they've been gashed too. That's the other side of the ball. Honestly, as much as Aaron Rodgers has looked poor, the one thing that they leaned their hat on last year was their defense, and it's not there this year at all.
Not at all.
They're getting gashed on the run in the running game, and they can't move the football effectively. They can't push it down the field, and Aaron Rodgers is dropping routine handoffs. I mean, it sounds like a Three Stooges episode, frankly. So there's problems. There are problems right now in Green Bay. You are right. They might
there
be
needs to
very,
be
very
alarms.
fraudulent.
There needs to
Red
be
flag.
alarms going off there.
Raise the red flag.
Flags.
I'm raising it.
Is it a red flag or is it a deal breaker at this point? Because for me, the deal has been
I think
broken.
it's a red flag. I think it's a red flag. I think you can't.
But you know me, I'm like very black
Aaron,
and white. I'm an overreactor.
I think Aaron Rodgers is like immune from deal breakers. Like he gets like a get out of jail free card from deal breakers forever, back-to-back MVPs and all the accolades. But it's borderline. It's borderline. You can make a case.
I just have nothing else to say about the Packers. I'm over them. I'm done. NFC North, the Vikings, get them now. Continue to get them. They're the best team to bet on right now.
We told you to bet them at like plus 180 like 3 weeks ago. So you got you should have been on that train already. Hopefully you viewers out there in Pickswise.
All right, your biggest overreaction from week 6. I didn't put one in the Google sheet, but now the more that we're talking, I'm thinking of one. But I'll let you go first for your biggest overreaction.
Yeah, I think people are going to go nuts on the Niners losing in Atlanta, and I think we need to pump the brakes. They had a ton of starters out offensively, and then, oh, by the way, left tackle Trent Williams was already out going into the game. Their right tackle McGlinchey injured his calf, I believe, during the game and had to leave. So the Niners were without multiple starters defensively, both starting tackles. And what do we know about Jimmy G? He needs to be clean or else his throws are unclean. So those two things to me are going to be looked at probably not as closely as we need to. You're going to see a blowout in Atlanta, 2 touchdowns. You're going to see 2 picks for Jimmy G, and you're going to get all, oh no, Jimmy G. Look at the intrinsic details of that game, the injuries, and then, oh, by the way, the second consecutive road game in the Eastern time zone in the early window last week they played in the late window, but second straight road game in the Eastern time zone for the Niners. They had to Carolina.
I can't hear you, Jared. You just ruined your microphone. He got a little aggressive with the mic and he just didn't know what to do anymore. I'll tell you my overreaction while we can't hear you. We still can't hear you. I'll tell you my overreaction while we're at it.
Am I back
the
now?
Bucks. Yeah, he's back. He's back.
Yo, I just knocked over my entire mic.
You just
so
went
fired
ham
up
with the arm motions.
I'm surprised I didn't break this thing. It's like a $200 microphone. Posner just bought it for me too, so that's sorry, Dan.
Ooh, love that. Okay, my overreaction is the Bucks. I know everyone's freaking out. Mitch Trubisky comes in. He basically laid to rest RIP to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are weirdly quietly tied at the top of their division with the Falcons, who are also 3-3 at this point after winning yesterday. I know Tom Brady missed Saturday morning's practices. They come out, they lose to the Steelers, a bad Steelers team, by the way, that have been having issues all season long. Tom Brady has shown that football, I don't think, and this is not a bad thing, this is not but football is just not his number one priority anymore. He's going to a wedding on a Friday night during the season, and I think that the players on his team are...
Wait, really?
Maybe not disrespect. Yeah.
He went to a wedding on a Friday night? Where? Do you know where?
It was Kraft's wedding. I don't know where it was at, but he went to a wedding on Friday night. It was Kraft's wedding, which I get it. You can't really miss that.
You're supposed to be in Pittsburgh on Friday. There's a game.
Yeah, so he missed Saturday morning practice / walkthrough, and he was back with the team Saturday and Sunday morning. So it's showing his teammates who are there 7 days a week, focused in, locked in for 24 hours a day, that Tom Brady is not 100% bought into this Bucs team at this point.
I didn't know
and football is not his number one love right now. Yes.
I would not have bet the Bucs this week if I would have known that. That's on me for not knowing that, but wow. You know this better than anyone.
I feel like
on Friday you get on a plane and you go to your rest and you go to your road trip.
Yeah.
He was
So
at
he's
a
the GOAT.
freaking wedding
Again, you talked
on
about
Friday night.
you talked about Aaron Rodgers deserving the passes. Tom Brady gets those too. He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He deserves it, but his teammates, I don't think, are buying into him as much as they did last season and in the seasons prior.
You see him
when he's
yelling at everyone on the
100%.
sidelines?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God. Brady, you're an
So
asshole.
something
Sorry,
to know.
Tom. That's an a-hole move right there. I'm sorry. Also, to be fair though, Robert Kraft, he's an NFL owner. You get married in season, bro. Everyone knows
On a Friday.
you don't have marriages, you don't have weddings in NFL season unless you're like me and the marriage is destined to fail. But if you're serious about your wedding, you don't NFL owner, he's having his wedding in NFL season.
Let's bring in Bobby Stanley. Because he just commented in the chat. He's also 100 years old. So they want to get it done right here, right now. You know what I mean?
I have so many issues with Robert Kraft getting married on a Friday in football season. He is an NFL owner. He has so many NFL friends. How do you expect them to come to the wedding on a Friday night? That's an a-hole move by Robert Kraft.
Are we not sure it wasn't Robert Kraft's daughter? It was Robert Kraft, like 85-year-old billionaire.
I think it was Robert Kraft. Let's see.
Even wasn't. Why? Like, if I'm Robert Kraft, I'm like, excuse me, daughter, I'm paying for your wedding.
Tom Brady, Elton John, among stars at Robert Kraft's
Elton John doesn't have a game on Sunday, so that's fine. But
Bill Belichick, the next article underneath that, Bill Belichick explains
why he game on
Sunday. Robert Kraft wedding. What? It was a surprise wedding in Manhattan. Old Heritage Tavern in Lenox, where New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft
had a game in Cleveland on Sunday. What the hell is he thinking? Now, it didn't matter. Browns don't have a pulse. But what the hell was that? I have a problem with that, Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
That is like
it's a surprise wedding. It wasn't planned. It was a surprise wedding.
It was a surprise wedding.
That makes it better. A surprise wedding mid-season when your team is supposed to be Cleveland. If I knew that, I would have faded every.
We wouldn't have known that because it was a surprise. You don't know it if it's a surprise. The word surprise literally means like you don't know. Like it's a surprise.
That is an absurd story. Absurd.
Yeah.
I can't believe Robert Kraft. If I'm Robert Kraft and I walk into that wedding, I'm like, what the hell's going on here, guys? We have a game on Sunday.
It does make it worse that we have the clips of Brady just chewing out his teammates on the sidelines. And they're not living up to their responsibilities. But I'm grabbing open bar drinks on a Friday night before game.
The rest of the year now.
So now that you know that, crazy things happened during week 6. Tom Brady wedding Friday, flew to Pittsburgh on Saturday, played a game and lost on Sunday, now tied for the top of the division with the Atlanta Falcons with a 3-3 record. But we move on to the final game of week 6. We have the Broncos taking on the Chargers. Monday Night Football to wrap it all up, put a little bow on it. AFC West rivals, the Broncos have been underwhelming this season. The Chargers are on a 2-game winning streak after taking down the Browns, who again, Jared just said, don't have a pulse. Let's get into some props that we have, Prop Holiday. What do you got for us today heading into Monday Night Football?
I'm hoping this Broncos offense can come alive on a primetime game once this year. I like Russell Wilson, and hear me out. Russell Wilson over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 140. And I like this line more for the opponent than I actually do for Russ. Chargers are allowing 2 passing touchdowns per game to opposing QBs, 26 most completions, 22nd overall in the red zone, which is where Russ has really struggled. He has not got it done in the red zone. So he gets a favorable opponent tonight. They've given up this line to every quarterback in the league except for Jacoby Brissett. We already talked about the Browns. And no Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon's banged up, but he should play from what I understand. Latavius Murray and Mike Boone, they're not inspiring confidence. I do think we see a little bit more of a pass-heavy approach tonight for the Broncos offense. So Russ to throw for 2 passing touchdowns is plus 140. That's also very attractive to me.
Yeah, I'm still trying to digest this Robert Kraft news. This is
okay, Jared. We got to move on. Come on now.
Blasphemy. This is blasphemy at the highest degree. An NFL owner has a wedding on the Friday before a Sunday game. All right, I agree with your game script tonight, Bobby. I don't think they're going to give Melvin Gordon 40 carries. They wouldn't anyways, but it's just there's probably like 8 fumbles in the game if they did. And I do think we're going to see, especially the Broncos offense against the Chargers defense, with almost 2 full weeks off from last Thursday night's disaster against the Colts, really try to push the tempo here. You've got Cortland Sutton on your list as well. And Gerald Everett, he plays for the Chargers, but we could talk about him in a second. But Cortland Sutton getting in the end zone at that price, it does seem like that is the man in the red zone that Russell Wilson likes to target.
He does. He's number 1 on the team in red zone targets. He's got 11 on the season. He has 2 red zone touchdowns alone. He's going to get Asante Samuel Jr., who's a smaller cornerback. He's a guy he can out physical on jump balls. He's a guy, if you give him the ball in short yardage situations, I think similar to a Mike Evans, I think he can plow his way into the end zone. It's plus 170. I was kind of just as shocked as you. I thought this would have been in the plus 125, plus 140 range. So I scooped that up at 170. And if you do believe that Russ is going to be throwing the ball more and you do think he can get in the end zone, this goes along with that game script. So Cortland Sutton to get one in the end zone today.
What about Jared? Longest reception, over 15.5 yards? You think him and McRib are going to have some completions between the two of them?
Call him McRib anymore. He's not hurt.
I know, but I feel like it's stuck. It's stuck.
Guys, we're turning into TMZ betting over here, and I'm all for it. But
McRib,
Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett over 15.5 longest reception. It's really more the line than anything else. This line was 16.5 and 17.5 earlier in the season. I'm buying low coming off his worst game of the year. He has hit this in 3 of 5 games. There's no Keenan Allen, presumably, tonight. So that number 2 wide receiver option, even though he's a tight end, is really up for grabs behind Mike Williams. Mike Williams probably going to be blanketed by Patrick Surtain tonight. So Gerald Everett is sneaky athletic for how big he is. I think he's averaging something like 5.5 yards after the catch. Depth of target is around 8. So I'm buying low on this, and it is minus 105. It's almost even money. So 15.5 for his longest reception on Everett.
I like it.
What do we make of just a follow-up question about another player in this game that people love to bet on and have fantasy, starts for, Austin Eckler, who's come on of late? Do we feel any Austin Eckler vibes tonight? Denver's D, according to what I'm looking at, averaging 5.1 yards per carry against, and no Josie Jewell, who's like the run guy in the middle at linebacker. Mm-hmm. What do we think about Austin Eckler tonight? Were you close to getting to the window on him?
I like it. The tough part with Eckler has always been, what's his rushing attempts going to look like? Is he going to be predominantly, a slot wide receiver, pass catching back? How are they going to use him? I would love for them to use him with 12, 14, 15 carries. And then I think he hits his over, which is 60.5, 61.5. It's just predicting how Brandon Staley's going to use Eckler that day. You pointed it out. They're giving up nearly 5 yards per carry. This is the time to do it. Whether we see that or not is another story. That's my only hesitancy is how he's used.
That's fair.
Who are you leaning towards in this game? Do you like the Chargers laying the points? Chargers straight up? Broncos, are they going to have themselves a day? What do you think is going to be the final result of this one?
I mean, based off yesterday, to throw trends out the window, I like the 4.5 with the Broncos. They did have an extended amount of time to get ready for this game, and they kind of play up to their competition. They've had high-scoring games with the Raiders. They've had low-scoring games with the Niners and obviously the Colts. If you project this to be a high-scoring game, 4.5 points just seems too much to me, anything over a field goal. So I do think they can match scores with whoever they're playing, as we've seen throughout the season. So give me the 4.5 in Denver.
Okay. Big fan. I like it. I'm actually betting the total. So is Jared. We may or may not be on opposite sides, and we'll get into that with our best bet of the day. We're going to have another arm wrestling swag bet that we do. Also, Prop Holiday, do you notice the shirt that Jared's wearing right now? Does that look like a Penn State shirt to you?
What do we got on? Michigan?
It's a schmedium, so I don't want people to.
That's awesome.
I'll be honest. I talked about this last year. I really like it. It's a very comfortable feeling shirt. It's just a size too small, but it's very soft.
He's like a sausage casing in that bad boy.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Those days for me are done. I go from large to extra large.
Good, right? The small shirts, the biceps look good in the small shirts,
No, I hear you. I'm getting ready for dad life. The schmediums are done. Baggy wear is the way to go.
Attracting the ladies with the biceps. Not very much
Hashtag
there,
dad
but
bod.
that's okay.
Hashtag dad
Oh,
bod.
major dad bod. You should see me by
Prop
the pool with
Holiday.
all of my old geezer friends at
Prop Holiday.
10 a.m.
We so appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll be talking to you on Thursday. Best of luck with your bets tonight. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.
Always a pleasure. Later, guys.
Peace.
That was Bobby Stanley, Prop Holiday, giving us his prop lock and drop bets. Let's get into some college football because we're going to revisit this Monday Night Football game for our best bets of the day. College football, week 7, crazy this week. I mean, Tennessee, they threw the goalpost into the river. They made it all the way out of the stadium and threw the goalpost into the river. That actually happened. You look at the AP poll now, Georgia sitting at 1, Ohio State 2, Tennessee moves all the way up to 3, Alabama drops down to 6, Michigan at 4, Clemson at 5, and then Ole Miss 7, TCU 8. But you look at some of these national championship odds. Alabama still has the third best odds at 4.5 to 1 to win the national championship. Ohio State just under 2 to 1, and Georgia tied with them at just under 2 to 1 as well. Clemson 10 to 1, Michigan 16 to 1. Tennessee is up to 16 to 1 as well. I want to go over this Alabama Tennessee game because we didn't really take enough time to touch on it last night. It was the most points Alabama has ever given up in the last century. That is wild. That's all it took is Tennessee's offense going freaking off. But how exciting was the end of that game, and maybe one of the worst field goals I've ever seen. I don't know if it was tipped. I don't know if it wasn't tipped. I couldn't really tell. The worst field goal I've ever seen to end up winning that game and to beating undefeated Alabama. But I think my favorite part is just there's nothing better than a college football fandom for a home game. I mean, that was insane. That was wild. I'm so pumped for the Vols. Your overall take of that Alabama-Tennessee game, because that's the one that we were all talking about.
Bedlam. Saturday's games were unbelievable.
Unreal.
The Utah USC game later that night, the Utes win on a game, clinching 2-point conversion. Cameron Rising ran it in for a touchdown on 4th and goal, then ran it in for the 2-point conversion. Utes were down 7, win by 1, get the 8 points there. And then you're right, that Vols game. I need to do some research on ATS record the week after you rip down the goalposts in your building. I'm assuming it's probably under 500. I wonder if that's... We always like to fade.
How many times that happened over the last century?
It's happened before.
Is there actually enough info on that? It's happened maybe 5 times probably, right?
I don't know how many times it's happened. I do know it's happened before. There's precedent for teams and fan bases just desecrating their own home stadium. I heard they raised $100,000 though to replace. It's not cheap. You think it's cheap to put those goalposts?
They were fined $100,000 as a school.
Yes. And they raised that much replacing them. Yeah, that's fine. The kids are going to be kids. You can't really, it's hard to stop that once it's started. Once the kids start rushing the field and, what are you going to do? Call in the National Guard? So it is what it is, but I would be surprised if there's not some kind of repercussions for, just the mentality of your team after that. Those are, you want to talk about a letdown spot. Now they face Tennessee Martin this week. So not exactly a great opponent to go against. But then their next 2 weeks after that, the Vols face Kentucky, coming off a big win back at home against Mississippi State with their quarterback Will Levis back from injury. And then they go to Georgia in 2 weeks. You should go to that game. Tennessee at Georgia in 2 weeks on November 5th.
If I'm here.
Sure.
We'll see about that would be sick.
Yeah, it would be. So still everything to play for Tennessee. And listen, Bama, you're going to overreact. Their defense was bad, but Tennessee's offense arguably is one of the best in the country. Alabama still controls their own schedule, controls their own destiny. If they win against Mississippi State and Ole Miss, which are their 2 really big games. You want to count Auburn too, but Auburn's so bad this year. I'd be shocked. Yeah. That game's going to be like a 30-point spread probably. But they're 2 big games. Actually, at LSU's tough too. I'm assuming that'll be a night game in Death Valley too. LSU's a little down, but they still can, cause some problems at night. Weird things happen. But I expect Alabama to run the table, and I'll be honest, I'd like to see them face Tennessee again in the SEC Championship game. But if I had to predict how it's going to happen, it's October 17th. You can timestamp this right now. I think Alabama and Georgia win out, and I think it's Alabama and Georgia in the SEC Championship game. So as much as Saturday was fun for the Vols and their fan base, I still think they're not over the hump or out of the woods yet. And I still think when they go to Georgia, it's going to be really – if there is a defense that can slow down Hooker, it's this Georgia defense. So that's really the next game that's going to be huge. Well, I mean, the Kentucky game will be big too. But I think, Tennessee at Georgia, that has a chance to be a top 5 matchup now with 2 undefeated teams.
Yeah, that's going to be a really, really exciting game to watch. But it was. This past weekend, we had 6 games between 2 teams in the top 25. It's the most ever in the last 5 years during the regular season on a Saturday. And it did not disappoint by any means. It's going to be interesting moving forward to see how some of these teams work out. Interesting thought, though. If Alabama finishes 12-1, Georgia finishes 12-1, Tennessee finishes 11-1, how does that look for the college football playoff? That's going to be crazy.
The odds of that happening are very slim because of Georgia plays Tennessee. Georgia playing Tennessee solves all of the
Georgia playing Tennessee. They beat Tennessee. It's Alabama versus Georgia in the SEC championship. Georgia loses to Alabama. This is just hypothetically speaking, something that's going through my mind.
I like this.
Do all 3 of those SEC teams make the college football playoff? Tennessee's out.
Georgia's out.
Georgia's out if they lose in the even if they beat Tennessee in the regular season.
So wait, hold on. Let me. So you saying
so Alabama
let's
lost
say
to Tennessee.
Yes.
Then Georgia beats Tennessee in 2 weeks.
Only Alabama? That means they beat Tennessee.
Alabama in the SEC championship.
So Georgia is 12-0 heading into the SEC championship game against Alabama.
They're 12-1 after
and
that.
Alabama is 11-1. Alabama beats Georgia, and you have 1 loss Georgia, 1 loss Tennessee, 1 loss Alabama, and Tennessee's only win is
against
home
Alabama
to Bama in an insane game. I think Tennessee's out.
They're out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Just something to think about. I know we're only 7 weeks into the season, but I just like a little.
Because when Georgia beats Tennessee, if that happens, that knocks Tennessee out of everything. And if Tennessee doesn't get the opportunity to play in the SEC championship game, I think that eliminates them.
Then they're out. Yeah, they end up ranked 5th. They end up ranked 5th, and they're just out. They're just on the cusp at that point, which would suck for Tennessee. But also, they have a really.
That's why we got to expand the stupid playoff. Come on, let's go, people.
Well, they are, aren't they?
I know, but not for another 5 years.
No, but that's happened. It's but then the drop off after 6, 7 is wide. I think.
Honestly,
it's
the
top
drop off after 1, 2, 3. Frankly, I think it's Alabama, it's Ohio State, and it's really it's Georgia, and it's really everyone else. I don't really see a whole lot of. I still am not that high on Tennessee, guys. I'm not. It was an insane win.
Hendon Hooker 60-1 Heisman bet. Let's go.
I love you, but it's toilet paper. It's toilet. I mean, if they beat Georgia, then it's not toilet paper.
Jared, I just want everybody to have fun. I just want both teams to have fun.
Don't tell that to the gamblers. They want to win.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. All right, before we get into our best bets and Pickswise.com, let's talk about Superbook Sports for a second, because Let's Bet It is presented by Superbook Sports. Make sure you go to Superbook.com right now or download the app today. And this season, guys, we are all rooting for safeties. That is because Superbook will give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. Just place a $100 pregame bet on any spread or any total, and if there's a safety any game on Sunday, you get a $50 bonus. So make sure to visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Let's head to Pickswise.com now for our 3-star play of the day. Who we got today from Monday Night Football?
I'm getting a lot of chatter in the chat. Of course.
Chatter in the chat.
Starts, right? That we need to do more hockey here on the show. And I defer to Ice Queen herself for that.
I don't have a hockey bet today, but I promise you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll bring you guys the hockey bets. Yes.
But you're not allowed to give out the picks unless you wear the crown. That's the new rule.
Oh, we got it right here. Hold on.
Time out,
Oh,
friends.
it's
She has her
easily
time.
accessible.
She needs to keep. I love that.
It kind of
So
looks like
adorable.
a dunce cap, doesn't it?
No, dunce caps are pointed. Crowns have dunce caps are like triangles.
And then in
That
a
one's
month
got
when
like
it's my
multiple.
birthday, I can wear it on this side where it says happy birthday.
Yay! I love that crown so
But I
much.
can't wear it when I'm not talking hockey, so I'm putting it away for right now.
That's
3-star
true.
play
That's
of the day,
very fair.
Pickswise.com. Who do we got?
So to that end, there is hockey on the site today, friends. People are asking for hockey picks. I understand your concern. Lauren Jabara, the hockey queen herself, she is taking the suggestion box very seriously. She will have hockey picks for you. In the meantime, Rangers, Ducks, Leafs, Coyotes. Christopher Moraes, Mark Lammy. 3 stars on the site, NHL. Have fun.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, our best bets of the day. Jared and mine, Jared.com, Lauren.com. We are both talking Broncos, Chargers. I'm making a
Jared.com.
and Lauren.com. We are making a Broncos. We're talking about all the .coms. Why can't we have our own websites? Broncos taking on the Chargers tonight. I know we're on opposite sides of this, and rightly
We
so,
are.
but you know what? It's okay. This has been one of my best bets since Pickswise Playbook on Wednesday. But Jared, I'll let you go first, and I'll counter. I'm on the under, but I know 80% of the handles on the under, so I am going with the crowd. You are taking the contrarian play. So please tell me more.
Yes, absolutely. And shout out Clev TA, our fantastic Thursday and Monday night NFL handicapper. He's been on it this year. He gave out the commies on Thursday. He's had a couple of other decent looks on Thursday and Monday. When he speaks, or I guess when he writes, really, I read and I listen. And I like the look tonight. And it is, you're right. It is the rare occasion where the public actually is favoring the under. And I think it makes sense if you talk about the narrative. Yeah, the public likes the under. Well, all we've heard, prime time unders. I get it. 12-6 on the season for prime time unders. But last night, game goes over, barely. Thursday night, game stays under, but last Monday night against Chiefs Raiders, game goes over. So yes, 12-6 primetime unders on the year, but 2 out of the last 3 trending over. We're starting to see a little. It's not natural for the primetime unders to be skewed in this much of a direction. It will eventually regress in a positive fashion. But the real crux of this handicap, trends aside, is Denver with 2 full weeks off, basically. They played last Thursday night. Russell Wilson's shoulder looked bad decisions, bad execution. I think the off time will help. It gives Nathaniel Hackett a chance to breathe. This has been a really tough first few weeks in the Hackett tenure. The early game, week 1 in Seattle, when so many distractions were happening. Then, of course, that throws off your routine. Then you play a Thursday night game last week. The routine for Nathaniel Hackett has been all over the place. Well, now you get some breathing time. You played last Thursday. You get all week, plus the Sunday. Now they play on Monday. And I like the pace of both teams as well. Again, Clef TA pointed this out. Both teams top half of the league in neutral situation pace. So even when the score is even and you're not playing from behind, both of these teams, especially the Chargers, who run the fastest pace in the league, like to push the tempo. And I think Denver's going to play even quicker tonight because, again, time off. The running game has been muted. You've got, no Javonte Williams. It's Melvin Gordon, fumbleitis. I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more, and I think we're going to see a little bit faster pace from this Broncos team. And on the Chargers defense, listen, they've been had this year. They're 28th in EPA per play. Joey Bosa's out. They gave up 28 and 24 points to the Browns and Texans, who have just looked lifeless the last few weeks, and they allowed a 40-plus yard run in 3 straight games. This Chargers defense can be moved up, down, all over the field. And then on the Broncos side of the ball, no Ronald Darby in the secondary. That's Justin Herbert's, cue to throw the ball deep down the field. You've got Caden Stearns, their free safety, also out. Josie Jewell in the middle, out. Denver's defense allowing over 5 yards per carry. They've been really bad away from home this year, this game being played at SoFi Stadium. And here's the kicker. Brandon Staley, if you want a trend that really favors the over tonight, most of the games Brandon Staley's coached in have been high total games because his offense is really good and his defense has been suspect. Well, because they're facing the Broncos tonight in this, in theory, really poor offense, well, the total's in the mid 40s. Well, when the total is less than 50, the Chargers under Brandon Staley 10-2 to the over. So when the total's supposed to be lower, that's when the games go over. When it's a higher total in the 50s because of all this offense and glitz and glamour the Chargers have, that's when the games stay under. So kind of a contrarian play tonight, over 45.5, risking 1.65 units to win 1.5 units. You can get this number at the Westgate right now. And I'm starting to see it tick up a little bit. Starting to see some 46s pop up in the market. So if you like my argument, bet it now.
If you like my argument, which need to clear the windpipe for that one. I know you talked about the Chargers. They're allowing the third most points in the NFL right now. Justin Herbert and his offense are pretty good. They rank 9th in scoring points per game. But something to keep in mind still is Russell Wilson's banged up shoulder. I know he had a couple weeks off. A lot of the time when it's your throwing arm and you're still throwing, like, you're not just sitting and resting. You're still practicing. You're still doing stuff. He's not going to be at 100%. And in the 5 games that he's played so far this season, he's completed under 60% of his passes, an 82.8 passer rating. Both are career lows for him. Then you look at Melvin Gordon III. He's probably playing, but he's not going to be at 100%. Mike Boone is questionable. Keenan Allen not in for the Chargers. Denver at this point ranks 31st in points per game, averaging just over 15 points per game that they're scoring right now. They have one of the worst red zone offenses in the league, which is exactly what Prop Holliday was telling us as well. But you look at the Broncos defense. They're really good. They've only allowed 5 touchdowns in 5 games. 5 passing touchdowns in 5 games. Best red zone defense in the NFL. Opponents are scoring at a 10% rate against their defense at this point. And Denver's games through 5 weeks have averaged a point total of 31 points per game total. The under is a good bet here. Over the last 7 games between the two, the average total between these two teams in those games, 41.7 points per game, which is about 4 points under the 45.5. The totals hit the under in 4 of Denver's last 5 games, and 8 of the Chargers' last 9 home games against Denver have also hit the under. So I'm feeling the under here. I'm going with the public. If they jump, I jump. Let's go. But we need a good swag bet. What are we doing what are we doing on the swag bet?
I want to see you wear this freaking Penn State hat already. It's been 2 freaking years. I'll wear this Michigan shirt on the show again. I think it makes my pecs look great. I don't care that it's a schmedium. I'll wear this shirt on the show again. No big deal.
Okay. I'll wear the Penn State hat if the over hits. I'll wear the Penn State hat if the over hits. You wear the Michigan shirt again tomorrow if the under hits. 2 days in a row, baby. Let's go. That's it for us, guys. Follow us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Jabara. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Best of luck with your Monday Night Football bets. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Peace.